I was proud to vote recently for the House budget resolution, which provides the framework. Yep. And you wonder why folks don't want to do these town halls.
That was MAGA Republican Congress member Chuck Edwards from North Carolina getting booed at the town hall that he just held. He said, I wonder why people don't want to do these town halls. I think it's the MAGA Republicans who are cutting people's Medicaid, who are firing veterans, who are calling Social Security a Ponzi scheme, who's allowing Doge to go through people's private records, that don't want to confront their own constituents. Let me also show you this other scene right here where J.D. Vance just walked into the Kennedy Center, where Donald Trump appointed himself as the chairman, basically fired all of the people who were working at the Kennedy Center. There was a warm Kennedy Center welcome to J.D. Vance also getting booed. Here, play this clip.
Kill that light!
I wonder if we're going to see Donald Trump at any more sporting events. I think that he probably won't. We won't be seeing him in public. Just show you one more clip right here of this MAGA Republican Chuck Edwards. Here he says, I happen to believe that President Trump supports our Constitution. Here, play this clip.
And I'll say that I happen to believe very much that President Trump supports our Constitution.
All right, I'm gonna do one more.
Another reason I said that I wanted to have a town hall, in spite of some of my colleagues in D.C. going, Chuck, you're an idiot, is we've got a lot to be proud of in this country. I happen to agree with a lot of the things that's going on in Washington, D.C. right now. I know many of you are not. And we'll get a chance to talk about those. So
let's bring in Democratic Congressman Mike Levin of California's 49th. Congressmember Levin, great to have you here. You're holding your own town hall this upcoming Sunday. First off, tell us about what you thought about those clips that I just showed you. Then let's talk about what you're going to be talking about at your town hall.
Well, I don't know what concert J.D. Vance was attending. I don't know if it was, Lee Greenwood or Kid Rock at the Kennedy Center these days, whoever Donald Trump as, the new head of the Kennedy Center is booking. But look, I give Edwards credit for doing a town hall. I thought it was astonishing that the NRCC told everybody don't do town halls because, look, town halls are tough, right? I've had 120 of them and 121 coming up on Sunday. They're not always roses or sunshine, but you got to do them. A representative is not only a job title, it's a job description. And you can't do that job unless you're willing to listen to constituents, whether they agree with you or not. It comes with the territory. And if you're not interested in listening to your constituents, find another line of work.
The 49th Congressional District, Southern California, not to be confused with the areas where Donald Trump dumped reservoirs into farmland, emptying 2 billion gallons that was needed for the summer, and then claiming that was somehow near Southern California. But look, Southern California, not just Democrats in Southern California, you've got independents, you've got Republicans. In your district, what are you hearing from just your constituents in general, based on the wrecking ball that Trump and Doge and Musk? What comes up the most in your conversations with constituents?
I think it's the real world impact this has on people. I'm thinking about the seniors. They already call our office when they have trouble with Social Security, Medicare or Medicaid, and thinking how Doge is just going to decimate these different agencies from within. Really the biggest attack on Social Security that we've seen for 90 years, the biggest attack on Medicaid and Medicare. And I know that, for example, Ben, in San Diego, there are 8 Social Security offices, and at least one that is a regional office in my district is going to get shut down. It's on the Doge website. And that's, across the board. I think people are very frustrated. I have a very high veteran population in our district, and we know that about 1/3 of those federal workers are veterans. We take great pride in being able to hire veterans into the federal government so they can continue their service. So I'm worried about the veteran that might be out of work or may have trouble now getting the same kind of health care given all the cuts at the VA. I'm worried about the senior that's going to have to wait longer for their Social Security check or maybe get thrown out of their nursing home if they're a Medicaid recipient, or the children that might not have enough to eat. We forget that for a lot of kids, free and reduced lunch is incredibly important. The whole thing is just so backwards and coming at us very fast. I think it's important we stand strong and we hold the line. We do everything we can to fight with every tool we have in the toolbox, whether it's legislation, litigation, or communication.
Let's talk about Trump's foreign policy. Not a day goes by where he doesn't seem that he's not going to be attacking an ally, whether it's, Canada, whether it's Denmark, whether it's NATO, whether it's Mexico. I mean, earlier on Thursday, he had the Secretary of General of NATO in the Oval Office where he asked for help to annex Greenland. He talked about invading I'm not making this up, invading Los Angeles. He said he broke into Los Angeles and made up some delusional story. And of course, the constant attacks on Ukraine and Zelensky and the positive statements he makes about Russia and selling Trump gold cards. Are you here? What do you make of all that?
Well, let me talk about the LA water situation for a second, and then talk about foreign policy. I had the opportunity as a member of the Appropriations Committee to have a hearing with the head of the Army Corps of Engineers. They were the ones that ultimately let that 2 billion gallons of water flow from those dams down to a dry lake bed where a lot of that water just evaporated. It never made its way to LA. And we now know that the Army Corps knew that it was never going to make its way to LA. And that water is needed for our farmers, our agriculture, particularly if we have a dry next few months. So the other thing you should know is that the LA wildfires were 100% contained when Trump made that decision, that very reckless and irresponsible decision. So the concern that I have is that the Army Corps of Engineers, who are good engineers, that they will follow the science, the engineering, and common sense and actually listen to the community. We're going to continue to fight to get answers from them. With regard to the situation in Ukraine and foreign policy generally under this administration, I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would worry about America taking the side of democracy and freedom the world over. But unfortunately, that's where we're at. My grandfather fought in World War II against tyranny, against oppression, and I think he would be disgusted at siding with a murderous thug like Putin over someone who's trying to defend their democracy like Zelensky. It's just so sad that we're in this situation. It's contrary to everything I thought I understood about the last 80 years that have been a very peaceful, by and large. We've had obviously ups and downs over the last 80 years, but by and large, if you look at the history, the last 80 years have been a time of great peace and prosperity. And it's so misdirected to think that somehow America, when we help our allies, when we have good relationships with our allies, that somehow that weakens America. America's done great these last 80 years, and we do better when the world sees us as a stable and strong partner. And I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to get through these next 3+ years without doing too much damage to those relationships around the world.
You see any reason for hope right now? Obviously, Trump tried to he called it what him and Musk called it shock and awe. That was the term they used, where they wanted to just wreck everything. I mean, I do see the opposition, the resistance people you saw in those clips, but elsewhere, I think starting to say, enough is enough. People want fighters right now. That's why I'm glad you're hosting that town hall on Sunday and you're constantly speaking with your constituents. But talk to this moment right now in terms of, is there any reason, do you see reason for hope, and what are you doing to fight?
Well, one is the hope is people are pissed. And, right now, 42% approval for Donald Trump. So he's down from where he was just 6 weeks ago. And I talked to Republicans who didn't bargain for this. They wanted this president to be focused on inflation, to be focused on the cost of goods. And they've done virtually nothing about the cost of goods other than these tariffs that have actually driven costs up and tanked the stock market. In the last week or two, we've seen, I think, a decline in the president's approval on the handling of the economy, which was ultimately his greatest strength, now turns out to be a weakness when people actually see how volatile it is. What gives me hope are that when we have a registration for a town hall, it's almost immediately full, and that's happening all across the country. The last telephone town hall that we did had over 9,000 participants. What gives me hope is that House Democrats stood together and stood firm against this Republican spending scam that ultimately would just empower Elon Musk and Donald Trump. What gives me hope are the people in my communities of all political persuasions who say, don't stop fighting for us. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to fight like hell with every tool I have these next 2 years, and we're going to take back the House.
Democratic Congressman Mike Levin, first time here, long time caller, though, on the MeidasTouch Network. Good to have you.
Thanks, Ben. Take care.
Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.